Hello everyone, welcome back to how to make an RPG game series. And in this video we're going to be making races. I'm an orc, okay? And we have rolling races as well, see? You click on it, it has a roll animation. It's cool. Let's just keep rolling. I got a human. Got a demon. Got sushi folk. I get dragonborn, there's my wings. And when you run out, it prompts you to buy 10 race rerolls for 350 Robux. It's not overpriced, so just pay and boom, you get more spins. Now here we go, we're a dragon now. Okay, so let's get into the video. It's pretty simple, it makes a lot of sense. First, let's go to assets. How do you make races? I've shown before, you add folders for the race name, okay? And inside the race we have rig. As you can see, there's rigs, and the rig, if you want to add in accessories, you add in a folder for race accessories. The accessory, which is a part, and inside of it has to be a weld with W being not capitalized, okay? And now let's go to render appearance. In modules, replica storage modules, render appearance. Let's fix something. Let's fix render race. So in render race, let's find existing accessories. So currently it doesn't reset any accessories when you change a race. So when you have demon wings or dragon wings, you change into a human, you would still have dragon wings. So you need to find existing race accessories in your character. If they exist, we destroy them. Simple enough. Now let's make a new module for roll race. So in server storage, here, server storage, let's add in a new folder for systems. Let's add in a system called races, and let's add in a roll race module with let's add in another folder for race modules if you want to add in functionality to races, but not in this video. Let's open this module. Okay, so it's a basic module for RNG, for rolling, for spinning. First we need to make rarities. So the first rarity has to be the most common rarity, and they don't have to add up to 100, but for me, they add up to 100. So common, uncommon, rare, legendary, it goes from the most common to the most rare, okay? The weight is basically the percentage of how rare the rarity is. Common is 50, uncommon is 30, rare is 15. There's name, weight, and then the races. Inside of races, we have the rarities, and inside the rarities, we have the race names. Human, goblin, elf, orc, sushi folk, just like that. The module, we return the module, simple, and then we add in a function called roll race. It's very simple, it's just a weight based RNG. So first we need to get the total weight. We loop through the rarities, we increment the total weight with the item weight. They all add up to 100, so the total weight is 100, okay? Then we pick a random number. This is for the RNG. Spinning systems or loot systems, they're called RNG because they stand for random number generator. We generate a random number. So we generate a random number and then we get in a cumulative weight because that's how weight systems work. So we loop through the rarities and we add in the cumulative weight with the current item weight. So the current item weight would probably be common. So common is 50, so cumulative weight would be 50. And then we check if random number is smaller than cumulative weight. Let's say our random number is 20 and the cumulative weight, the first cumulative weight would probably be 50 because common is 50, right? It's smaller or equals to 50, so that means we got common. But if our random number is 60 or above, then we wouldn't get common. Okay, we would get something like uncommon. So the higher number you are, the higher number you get, the rarer it is, and the smaller number you get, the more common the rarity is. Okay, so this is how it works. Let's go to Excalibur. Okay, so let's say your random number is 60. We add in the cumulative number, so it starts at 0. We add in the first rarity, which is common, so it becomes 50. Is 60 smaller than 50? No, it's not. So we loop through again. We go to uncommon. 50 plus 30, we got 80. Is 60 smaller than 80? Yes, that means you'll be getting uncommon, and so on. If your number is 90, then you'll be getting rare. If your number is 100, then you'll be getting legendary. That's how it is. Okay, and then once the script decides which rarity you get, it saves the rarity, which is the item.name. You get the race, which indexes the races with the rarity. Let's say you get common, that means you'll be getting this table. And then you get the random race in that table, so you'll be getting human, goblin, elf, all random equal chances. Okay, and then it returns the race. It's pretty simple. That's how the roll race system works. I'll show you. Okay, let's make this visible. So this is how the rolling GUI works. We got spins. If you don't want spins, that's okay. Each reroll costs a Robux if you want to be greedy. But I don't want to be greedy, okay? I want to add in spins. Or you want to go with the debugger based approach. You save the race that you got, and you can easily get back to it. You can do that, but I'm not doing that in this video. I think that logic is pretty simple. You can figure it out easily. But for this video specifically, it's just a spin system. Pretty simple. We have a race. This is the frame. We have a title. We have the spins display, it's a text. And we have a roll button, it's just a button. And then we have a rolling frame. So the rolling frame has text labels. Text label 1, text label 2, text label 3. And it's really important that you... there we go. And it's really important that you toggle clip descendants. So that means if the label goes down, you can't see it. See? You see it's behind the frame. It's like it's behind the frame. As you can see, it's behind the frame. It's very important that you do that. Now that you've done that, let's make a new remote function. In remotes, let's add in one remote event in replication for race spins change. And let's add a new remote function in remotes called roll race. Okay, roll race. So why do we make it a remote function? So that when you fire it, it waits for the server to return a response. So here, let's make a new script in server script service. In customization, add in a new script, roll race. We get marketplace service. We get the remote function. We get the profile, and we got the roll race when we get the roll race module. So remote function is not like remote event. It's not an event. It's actually a callback function. So remote function dot on server invoke is a callback function. You're putting in a callback function. And let's add in a print for debugging. Why not? Let's get in the player's profile, and let's do a check. If the spins is bigger, if the spins is smaller or equal to 0, then we have to prompt product purchase. So we're giving a prompt for the player to purchase a product, and this is the ID for the product. So how do you make a product? This UI is actually so bad, guys. Where is it? Where's the settings? Hold on, I can't find it. Oh man, where's the settings? Game settings, there we go. Game settings, monetization. You can create a new product like this. You edit it. You set in the price, you set the name, and then you copy the ID to the clipboard. That's all, okay? And you decrease the race spins amount. You roll the race, and you set the data, the race to the new race, and then we return the race so that the client can have it. Okay, it's pretty simple. Okay, so this is the client code now. Let's comment this out because I'll show this at last. So what I need to show you is the functionality. So first, let's get run service. We need this for the animation, for the rolling animation. Let's get profile client. Let's get our player. Let's get render appearance to render the appearance. Let's get remote function, the remote function that fires the roll race. Let's get race spins change. Let's get the folder of the UI, the frame of the UI, the roll button, the rolling frame, the spins display, the frame that shows the text labels, and we get into all the text labels. So we get in a debounce. So we make a new variable. So we make a new variable. It's for the states. Okay, so debounce. We don't want the user to be able to spam the reroll race button, then it would just break everything. So we need debounce, and we need animation connection so that we can stop the animation. And then we have a values table, so it just shows all the possible races. I'm not bothered enough to get the race from replicated storage or anything. It's just for display. Okay, just for display. And then we have the roll settings, the amount of rolls you want. The counter is just the state. Is rolling, it's just another state. The current of I don't think, hold on. Yeah, the current offset, cycle complete, they're just states. And then the label height, which is the height of the text label. And then the start Y, which is above the middle text label, so it's above the visible area. The middle Y, it's zero, so it's in the middle. And the end Y, it's label height, so it's below the middle text label. So first we set in the positions. Set text label 1 to middle Y, so it's in the middle. Text label 2 to above text label 1. Text label 3 to below text label 1. So I think it's self-explanatory. So just directly above and below it by setting the Y offset to the height of it. And now I'll show you how it works before we go into the animation, because we'll just explain it later. So first we need to wait until profile client exists, and then we set the spins display to the amount of spins we have in the profile. And then we initialize the text, set text, because text label 1 is in the middle, we set it to the current race, and then 2 and 3 is random. Okay, that's cool. And once the roll button is activated, if debounce is true, then return end. If debounce is true, then return end. Okay, set debounce to true so that we can spam it until the rolling is over. So we can spam it until the rolling is over, and then we fire the remote function. Okay, and then we get the race. If we don't get the race, then we'll just disable the debounce. We'll just disable the debounce and stop the script and just return. Okay, if we get a race though, if you do get a race, we'll increment the race spins, update the spins display. We roll, but we don't have the function yet, so just add this in for now, and do repeat task.wait until not is rolling. So it's rolling. If the animation is rolling, then we can't change our race yet, so that's gonna be a spoiler if you do. Okay, because render step doesn't actually yield your script, that's why we have to add in a variable is rolling, and we have to wait until is rolling is false. Okay, and after that we render the appearance of the starter rig, the rig that we use to display our character, to the race, and we set debounce to false so that we can roll again. And then we add in a new remote, so when the race spins do change, like when we buy new spins for example, we update the spins to this, and then we update the display again. So how does the spins update? It's from the developer products, but I'll show that later at the end. Now let's just remove this, and I'll show you how start roll works. This is start roll. If it's rolling, then we can't call this function. And then we set rolling to true, we set counter to 0, we set current offset to 0, we set cycle complete to false. Let's make a new animation connection. Even though it's already here, I made a mistake, whatever. Okay, animation connection equals run service render step. So it keeps looping before physics change, before frames are being rendered. We set the speed to 300. It's the speed of how fast the roll moves. Okay, it's how fast the roll moves. So if counter is smaller than total rolls times 0.6, then we add in a slowdown vector. It's a formula. I can't really explain this. I just copied this from somewhere. So this is to slow down your counter. So this is to slow down the animation pretty much. Your rolling animation, you don't have to understand either. Just copy this. Just copy this pretty much. Okay. Yeah, it's just math. It's just math. It slows down your animation, whatever. And then we move the move amount. And then we move the labels by setting the offset to move amount. What is move amount? Move amount is speed, which is 300 times the delta time. Okay, it's a parameter that in render step. So you gradually move the labels, and then we update the positions. Text label 1 is start Y plus current offset. Text label 2 is in the middle. Text label 2 will always be in the middle. Text label 3 is always in the below everything. And we check if we've completed a movement cycle. So if current offset is bigger or equals to label height, which means we've completed a cycle, which means we've moved everything down, then we set cycle complete to true and current offset to 0. So we reset the offset. So it keeps, I'll explain it visually later. So basically we reset it and we teleport everything to above. So we reset the current offset and we teleport everything to its original position. We set counter to counter plus equals 1. So we'll use this to check if counter is 30, is bigger than 30, whatever. Okay, so now we move the bottom label to the top by setting text label 3 to text label 2, text label 2 to text label 1. So we're moving it. I'll show you how it makes sense, because right now, why do we have to do this when we already moved them by animation? Why can't we just set them to random text? I'll explain that visually. So if counter is smaller than total rolls, then we just set text label 1 to some random value, because we don't set text label 2 and text label 3 with random values. We set text label 1 with random values. Text label 1 is the text label that keeps coming in from the top to the middle. So it's an illusion that that random values keep rolling in. And if counter is the same as total rows, then we set the text label 1 to the predetermined result, which is the parameter in this function. Okay, and then after that we reset the positions, as you can see. So if we've completed a movement cycle, then we reset the positions. We teleport everything to their default positions. And if the counter is bigger than the total rolls, if it's bigger than 30, then we stop is rolling and we stop the animation connection. Okay, it's simple. So I'll show you how it works. So this is the visible frame. This is the default value. Like this. And then it moves down. Like this. And then it moves down. And then it teleports to this. Okay. So 1 is up as at the top, 2 is in the middle, and 3 is always below. So we go down, 1 is in the middle. We can see 1, 2 is below, 3 is below. And after this, we teleport. We've completed a movement cycle, okay? This is a completed movement cycle. And then we teleport, boop, like this, boop, teleport, teleport. So for the audience, it's jarring. What is happening? It's just teleporting with the same numbers. So that's why we have to set 1 to random value. So random value comes in, boom, 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 it teleports. But because 2 became the first number, it doesn't look like it's teleporting. It looks like it's rolling in. And then the new value comes in, and then it teleports, and it looks like nothing has moved. It's still going down, and the new value comes in like this. So it's like this. Okay, cycle 1, it's apple, lemon, cherry, and then we move this here, we move this here, so the middle is this, and then we add in a new random value at the top, and then we move them down again, new random value. It's like that pretty much. So that should explain it. And now let's add in a new script, developer products. Go to server script service, let's add in developer products. So first, let's get marketplace service, let's get profiles, and let's get racespins change. It's a remote event for replication for whenever the spins do change. Let's make a handler. So this is how developer products work. There's marketplace service, and then there's a value called process receipt. Process receipt is a callback. It is expecting a callback function. It's not an event, it's a callback function, so that it's secure, so that when the process has not been completed, then it will guarantee to call the process function again. And in the parameter we have receipt info, which has the player ID, the product ID, and more, but we only need these two values. So then we check if handler. So how I handle the process receipt is by making a table with the functions as with functions the functions, and the function's name is the ID. I have a handler table, and each product ID has its own function. So we check if handler has a product ID. If it does, then we return handler ID product ID, which is a function with the parameter player ID, because this is a function that needs player ID. This is just a function. This it's basically like that, but you can't set it's basically like this, but you can't do this as a syntax. But it basically looks like that. Okay, and now we get the player by game.players get player by user ID. If not player, if the player doesn't exist, then we return enum.productPurchaseDecision.not processed yet. Okay, so if it's not processed, then Roblox will call this function again. Now we check if profile exists. If it doesn't exist, then we set not processed yet. Now if we have profile and we have player, we set the spins to plus equals 10. We increment the spins by 10. We fire the client to show that we have new spins, and we return purchase granted, which means the purchase is successful and we're not going to have to call this handler function again. So I'll summarize this. Process receipt is a callback function with receipt info having player ID and product ID. We check if product ID is a valid index in handler functions. If they do, then we call the function and we return the value. And that's how buying racespins work. Alright, this is it for my video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.